My first interaction with Jamie actually came a long time into even having Earthquaker pedals or anything. I called him, I texted him, I emailed him. He ghosted me for years. I mean, he basically ignored my existence until he had no choice other than to speak to me.
Yeah, you look like a shady character. I didn't want to get into business with you.
I think our first interaction properly, was it at a show?
Yeah, it was, I think, at the Agora in Cleveland. I think that's the first time that we met.
Yeah, I think so. And other than that, I think we spoke a couple of times on an email, but pretty like very ordinary stuff. I think just
yeah.
What do you need? What can I get? And then when we actually met, it was like, oh, shit! And this is actually this is a friendship. We actually have a lot in common, a lot to talk about.
I think we nerded out about your pedal board for like 30 minutes while people around us were like, are they going to get the fuck out of the way?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Continue to do our jobs.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The importance of Grey Channel. I mean, Grey Channel was like my my tone for like everything. For years, I always used to try and do tone stacking, where I use a little bit of drive from this and this and this and this, and then next thing you know, I've got this like hairdryer happening. I think actually once Bone was like, why the fuck does your amp sound like a Hoover? Yeah, but I went a bit too far with that. But Grey Channel was the thing that like pulled everything in and consolidated my tone, should we say. So I have an always on pedal, which is the EP booster. So it's just giving me an extra little clean bit of push into the pedal board. And then it often then goes into the tone job, and then at the time the Grey Channel as well. So it'd always been like the tone job for like stabby bits and like bits in Mother where I'm doing the stabs, or Mr. Motivator was like tone job and organizer where it's the organ stabs. And then when it got to the chorus, it would always be like add the Grey Channel. But obviously, like I being a bit heavy-footed on my pedals, always used to kick that switch and turn my, this one here, always turn it into a silicone or a germanium fuzz, and then I'd just vanish out of the chorus. Gone. So that's when we spoke to each other about maybe recreating just a green channel for me.
Yeah, that's kind of my memory of it too. I think that you had reached out to Anna, who was doing our artist rep stuff at the time, about getting that Grey Channel.
Yeah.
I like procrastinated forever until like the morning of that show, and I was like, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna build that pedal, and then I brought it to that show.
That was right, and it did. You actually said to me when you delivered it, you were like, "This is by no means a very well-made pedal. I pretty much put it together 20 minutes ago. It's probably going to break." And actually, I think it lasted almost a year, that pedal. I've actually got it here. Do you want to see it? Good God. So I've got all of them. Look at this. We got the lot. Shit. This is everything. So
that's everything.
First of all, obviously, the Grey Channel. So this was where all the discussion started, me only ever using the green side on neutral and hating the fact it had a switch because I kept hitting the switch and then my tone would just disappear because it would either go into a silicone or a germanium, and it would be at the most inconvenient time for me. But it's not. It's a user error for sure. Me just stamping on the pedal whilst running around the stage. So when I said that to Jamie, he turned up with this. We didn't have the little Gary sticker on it at the time. We did that just so we knew. But yeah,
name.
This was the first one. You basically just grabbed the inside of it and stuck it in here.
If I remember correctly, the PCB was just kind of taped down into the enclosure.
I've never opened it.
I hope it works. And then I watched you guys play and was like, ugh. Man, I really hope it works now.
Well,
that was the first time I saw you live, and it like melted my brain. I couldn't believe it.
No, it was great. I mean, it definitely worked. And then that's when we talked about making a dual-sided Gary. This one's called Gary ? Because after we talked about what it should do, you sent me this, and you're like, yeah. It does
Gary?
something. I actually I hated this one. This was
Is that why I can't see it in the video? But does it have a toggle switch on it?
Yeah. Do you remember
that one? Yeah. Because I was trying to force that toggle back on there.
I know. I mean, I thought we discussed this. The toggle's not for me.
I thought I'd sneak it in.
You did as well, and you actually protected it. You put it in between the dials, so it was unkickable.
Gave it some shelter.
But yeah, no, it wasn't right. If you remember, I think the discussion about this one was that the fuzz side wasn't. I don't know how many words I can use. I guess excitable, exciting, eccentric, weird. I think it wasn't weird enough. I can't tell anyone what yes does. The fuzz dial. It has the longest functionality name. What is it again? It's a square wave.
Well, it adjusts the pulse width.
The pulse width
of the square wave. So as it gets narrower, like Gary becomes thinner until it disappears, and then when it's wider, it's like the heavy sound. But when you plug an expression jack into it, the yes sets like the peak for how far the expression will sweep. So like you never accidentally sweep out of the audio range, which is something that the pedal does. I think that this is going to be a thing that people who buy this pedal is going to be totally confused by. Like, well, when I hit it really hard, the sound just goes away.
Yep.
So,
I mean, I think it's a really fun feature, and I also think it has the range to be anything, and that's what I think is really cool about it, and that's what I've spoken about a lot in the fact that I think it's more versatile, and it doesn't. Yes, it does hit the noise floor, which technically then disappears, but it's still making a gnarly noise, just really low. And it's like if you grab that noise and you boost it, if you're recording with it, you can use that gnarly noise on its own. But if you dial it back, you've got a really good fuzz that actually holds its volume, it holds its place within other pedals with the mix of another guitar, and I think that's what we talked about being the functionality of what Gary should do.
I remember we had a couple conversations where you were trying to describe this functionality where it's like it goes away, but then it comes back in and it sounds like everything is broken, and then it's like heavy again. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. It's like racking my brain for a couple of months, I think, until like I remember the idea of pulse width fuzz, and it's like, oh, we could just envelope control that.
I mean, I remember the phone call with me mouthing the noise of what. And just you on the other phone, like, okay.
Can you recreate that? What did it sound like?
I think it was something along the.
I did. It was something like that. I remember just pacing in the parking lot, like smoking.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I could hear you puffing away in the background, pausing and being like, "What is he talking about?" Like, well, yeah, like we've literally recreated the sound of a broken pedal, but at the same time, I can, pull it back and actually function. This fuzz is now fully, not even fully open. I mean, I can pull it all the way open. Which is really cool.
Yeah, I was happy with the way that turned out, though, where like if you don't want that insanity, you just turn the yes control all the way down. And then, I mean, I really like that fuzz. It's just like a very harsh, like grating square wave, but
yeah,
I love the fact that it will shut up like the second that you're done playing.
Yeah, I love that as well. And I also love that if you put the other side of Gary on, you can actually boost the volume of the dying fuzz, which is pretty sick, because normally anything dying just gets quieter. So now you can actually make it louder as well.
The thing that like totally sold me on this pedal, and I feel like you said it with some drama that I cannot recreate, but like I gave you the thing and we talked about potentially making an Earthquaker pedal, and you were like, I've got a perfect name for it, and I was like, I can't wait to hear this. And you were like, Gary. In my head, I was immediately, I'm sold. I don't give a shit what else this pedal does. I'm sold.
It's done.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I've been asked many times why. It's actually really uninteresting. Like, it's just autocorrect, typing grey wrong all the time between messages between me and Gav, or like emails. So then it just became Gary, but the more it was Gary, it was never anything else. It couldn't be anything else. So yeah, one of the sounds that I use Gary for, which I really love, which is actually should we call it the green channel side, just so we know what we're talking about?
Sure, yeah, green channel.
So I used that with the tone job, with the volume up full, and then it's into the reverberation machine, which has basically almost like fully on both reverb and gain. So just
is that the Death by Audio pedal?
Yeah.
Pedal?
That also then goes into a whammy. So then I play with the feedback, and I move the feedback with the whammy rather than in the amp. And it goes into the organizer, so it gives it a little sheen on top. So I'll just quickly do it. Maybe, we'll see if it works. It's just a fun one. I find that it's just a fun way to use feedback, which means you don't have to be in the amp to get the waves. It's kind of whale-like feedback. I love it. It's really gainy. It's really
awesome.
It's heavy. When it hits the lows, it sounds like, it's really like, it's just really heavy. But when it goes up high, it can be like ethereal. It can be really calm, and then it can just be absolutely gnarly. So. I think from Joy onwards, the grey channel was on my board, so it was used a lot to make a rock guitar sound, which could be. There we go. It could be anything from perm. I'll use it on like Mother.
My mother worked 15 hours, 5 days.
I truly, I can't explain like what it means to me to do this. Like, you know, like I think when you're younger and you start playing guitar or doing it, like, or then you get in a band, like you have these like dreams of things, but there's certain things that are just so unattainable and like so unlikely you just don't even think about it. So like Earthquaker has been one of my favorite brands like, from the off when it comes to pedals. When I first got into pedals, when I first got the organizer and like just ran away with pedals, and like it's what got me into it. So to be able to do this with you guys is it's beyond anything to me. Like yeah, like it's a dream come true, even though it was never a dream because I never thought it could be a dream.
It's very much reality.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing. It's actually a reality. Like, so I have a pedal called Gary with you guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really appreciate that, and I also feel the same way. You're one of my favorite bands. You are the best live band that exists today.
Thank you.
It blows my mind, and I'm very proud to have some little tiny piece of that. I'm very stoked about it.
You say little tiny piece. You managed to create the pedal from noises I made over the phone. So